Oh,
So I give away
wow.
$50,000?
It was $50,000? So Tamar gave me money for my down payment in 2018. She gave me $35,000. I have receipts. It was absolutely a gift. And it wasn't that I approached her. She said, but I want to help you get your house. And I was like, okay. And that's just something that we used to do as sisters, help each other. But now that I know what I know,
They say blood is thicker than water. But for the Braxton family, blood just got mixed with federal ink because it's time. It isn't a rumor. It isn't a storyline for reality TV. It's the FBI knocking on a Braxton door. And the name on that federal file is Towanda Braxton. The internet didn't believe it at first. Another Braxton headline? Another round of drama? But when the reports came in from the FBI's Atlanta field office, fans froze. Towanda Braxton, the sister who once preached peace, was now accused of bankruptcy fraud. Allegedly, she didn't just make mistakes. She made moves, hidden assets, shifted property, misstated income. And right in the middle of all that paperwork, a name no one expected to see. Tama or Braxton. The world gasped, because this wasn't just debt or drama, this was federal evidence. It started with something small. A simple loan. $35,000 that Tamar Braxton once gave her sister. Towanda said it was a gift. Tamar said it was a loan. But the moment that line appeared in those court papers, everything changed. Because under U.S. Code 18 Section 152, lying about a loan in a bankruptcy case isn't a misunderstanding. It's a crime. And the feds don't move unless they've got proof. So the question echoed online, who gave them that proof? Who told the FBI where to look? Every clue pointed back to the same person, Tamar Braxton. Suddenly, the fans who once cheered Braxton family values were divided. Hashtag Team Tamar versus hashtag Team Towanda. Sisterhood turned into suspicion, and loyalty into liability. But here's the truth. This didn't start in 2025. This started years ago. Back when the cameras were rolling and the sisters were still pretending to get along. Remember that episode when Tamar snapped at Towanda and said, "I know where you live because I paid the down payment." Back then it sounded like shade. Now it sounds like a receipt, because that very house, the one Tamar helped fund, is the same property investigators claim was transferred into Towanda's husband's name right before she filed for bankruptcy. To the feds. That's not sisterly love. That's concealment of assets. That's intent. From that moment, the investigation snowballed. Subpoenas, bank statements, credit card logs, and one shocking discovery. Towanda had allegedly been using Tamar's credit card for years. 6 phone lines, thousands of dollars, for years of bills. What fans once called borrowing now looked like a pattern. And once that detail leaked online, the internet went wild. Braxton fraud started trending. Memes, receipts, old interviews resurfaced. Every frame, every quote became a clue. And through it all, Tamar Braxton stayed silent. No tweets, no interviews. Just that calm, eerie silence that always means something's about to explode, because silence in the Braxton family isn't peace. It's strategy. Insiders whisper that Tamar had already been approached by investigators, that her legal team quietly handed over the documents, not out of malice, but out of self-protection. Still, to fans, cooperation and betrayal look exactly the same. Even Toni Braxton, the matriarch of calm, started pulling away. She quietly canceled appearances, removed her name from joint business filings. Because when the FBI gets involved, even family becomes radioactive. And then it happened. Early one morning, unmarked cars pulled up to Towanda's home in Georgia. Neighbors said agents arrived before sunrise. By noon, paparazzi had swarmed the street. And by sunset, every gossip blog in America had the same headline: Towanda Braxton arrested for financial fraud. The footage was surreal. The same woman fans once saw laughing on stage, now being let out under flashing lights. But the part that broke everyone's heart was the whisper behind it all. Tamar turned her in. One fan posted, "If my sister lies to the feds using my name, I protect myself first." That comment alone hit 1 million views in hours. Because deep down, people understood in this world, love has limits. The Braxton legacy, built on harmony, faith, and family, was suddenly on trial. Not in a TV reunion, not in tabloids, in federal court. And by the time Towanda was released on bail, the damage was already done. The sisters stopped posting, the smiles disappeared, and the silence grew louder than any music they ever made. Because this wasn't a scandal anymore. This was a collapse, and the internet was watching every crack spread in real time. The headlines didn't fade. They multiplied. Towanda Braxton arrested, FBI fraud case expands, and every time a new article dropped, one name refused to disappear. Tamar Braxton, the internet called her a snitch, a savior, a traitor, a hero. Every opinion was a war. Every silence was a verdict. Because while the FBI dug for facts, the public built their own courtroom online. Insiders say the real storm hit behind closed doors. Towanda Braxton faced hours of questioning. Agents pressed her about unreported income, false declarations, asset transfers, and the mysterious credit line under Tamar's name. But what truly shocked investigators wasn't the paperwork, it was the recordings. According to one insider, the FBI allegedly obtained voice notes of Towanda, talking about how to protect the house, that same house, the one Tamar helped buy, the one moved under her husband's name before bankruptcy. 2 words, protect the house. But to prosecutors, those words screamed intent to conceal. And as those files surfaced, Toni Braxton quietly made her move. She withdrew from every shared venture with Towanda. No public statements, no tears, just quiet distance. Because when federal investigators expand a case to include associated accounts, silence becomes survival. Even Trina Braxton, once a family peacemaker, vanished from social media. No more sister selfies. No Braxton love forever captions. Only stillness. Because in this family now, love had become a liability. Meanwhile, Tamar Braxton stayed composed, publicly detached. Privately, insiders say she was cooperating, not out of revenge, but to clear her own name. Her team handed over bank receipts, wire transfers, and escrow records, proof that the $35,000 wasn't a gift. It was a loan, documented, traceable, legal. And that's what broke the case open. Because once that transaction hit the files, Towanda's entire defense collapsed. What started as sister drama was now an official federal crime. As the feds froze accounts linked to Towanda's businesses, fans began piecing the puzzle. Her skincare line, under audit. Her husband's consulting company flagged. Even offshore transfers were reportedly under review. The phrase multi-year concealment scheme appeared in reports, and with it, the Braxton legacy shattered further. But for Tamar, the emotional toll was brutal. Old interviews resurfaced, her crying, talking about betrayal and carrying family burdens. Fans watched them again and said, she was warning us all along. Because when your own sister lists your money as a lie, what's left to protect? Towanda's husband tried to calm the chaos, calling it a misunderstanding. The property records told a different story. That Georgia house, the same one Tamar's money helped buy, was transferred to his name weeks before the bankruptcy filing. To the feds, that was concealment. To Tamar, that was betrayal. And to fans, it was proof the FBI allegedly began reviewing not just the Braxton finances, but also old connections, prior arrests, previous filings, past warnings. Towanda's 2005 forgery and theft case resurfaced, buried years ago. But the pattern, unmistakable. Then came the twist. Insiders claimed Towanda Braxton might be offered a plea deal, a lighter sentence if she names everyone involved in her filings. And that's when the real fear began. Because if even one Braxton name appears in those papers, more dominoes could fall. Toni Braxton's distance suddenly looked like defense. Trina's silence, strategy. Tamar's tears, survival. The Braxton dynasty, once a symbol of unity, now looked like an empire divided by subpoenas. And yet, there's something haunting about it all. Because years ago, on national TV, Tamar Braxton looked into the camera and said, "The only time we come together is when the cameras roll." Back then, it sounded like drama. Now, it sounds like prophecy, because when the cameras stopped rolling, the truth showed up, wearing a badge. Towanda Braxton now faces potential prison time if found guilty of falsifying financial disclosures. Her sisters remain silent, and Tamar, the one caught between family and federal law, still hasn't spoken. But silence can be its own confession. Maybe it wasn't betrayal. Maybe it was freedom, because when love meets law and truth meets betrayal, even family can become evidence. And in the Braxton family, someone always breaks first.